Welcome to the show. The Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, has issued a major inflation warning over Donald Trump's tariffs. I want to talk about it today. And one of the important takeaways, really, there's two critical takeaways here. If you understand nothing else, if you hate even the concept of listening to what the Fed chairman says, as I know many people do, people who are like, that's not what I need in my life. I don't need to be listening to statements from the Fed chairman. I just need to live my life. If you want to know the effect that this is going to have on you, really two important takeaways. Number one, the Trump tariffs, if they hold, are going to be bad for the price level. They're going to cause inflation. They're going to make things more difficult to afford for the average American. And number two, the Federal Reserve seems to have zero interest whatsoever in bailing Donald Trump out by lowering interest rates, which tends to have the effect of boosting the stock market. So let's go to the video. Here is Jerome Powell speaking yesterday with what some are saying is a bombshell shot across the bow at Donald Trump. If you've been paying attention, you know who to blame, but let's listen to Powell and then talk about it.
Today, the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged. The risks of higher unemployment and higher inflation appear to have risen, and we believe that the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments. I will have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Pardon me. Following growth of 2.5% last year, GDP was reported to have edged down in the first quarter, reflecting swings in net exports that were likely driven by businesses bringing in imports ahead of potential tariffs.
Right.
This unusual swing complicated GDP measurement last quarter. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 4.25% to 4.5% and to continue reducing the size of the balance sheet. The new administration is in the process of implementing substantial policy changes in four distinct areas: trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. The tariff increases announced so far have been significantly larger than anticipated.
Right.
All of these policies are still evolving, however, and their effects on the economy remain highly uncertain. As economic conditions evolve, we'll continue to determine the appropriate stance of monetary policy based on the incoming data, the outlook, and the balance of risks.
So listen, who could possibly be surprised by this? Every serious economist said the effect of this tariff scheme will be more unemployment and it will be more inflation. So this is a full-blown economic warning shot aimed directly at Donald Trump's second-term trade agenda, and MAGA owns this. Trump is doubling, tripling down on tariffs that are essentially taxes on American consumers. Now, tomorrow, we're going to talk about Donald Trump's big announcement of a deal with the UK. As we are recording today, that meeting is about to happen, and Trump's been saying a huge announcement is coming today. I think it's important for us to understand that trade with the UK is a tiny slice of total American trade, and that tariffs with the UK are negligible. So there's essentially nothing Trump could announce that would be significantly good. It could be significantly bad. I don't think that's what he's going to announce. So just to preempt the idea that all of this concern after Jay Powell yesterday saying this goes away with whatever Trump's going to announce with the UK today, not at all. So where we find ourselves now is that you've got the flag waving and you've got the tough guy rhetoric. Tariffs don't make China pay. You pay. And every single time you buy anything imported or made with imported parts, could be appliances, electronics, clothes, food, the cost goes up. Businesses either raise prices or cut jobs, and sometimes it's both. And Jerome Powell confirmed what every non-hack economist has said all along. So let's not pretend that this is some shocking turn of events. Trump campaigned on tariffs. He's governing by tariffs. His worldview, I guess implicitly, is that trade is bad, allies are suspicious, or we should be suspicious of our allies, And the only way to win is to isolate the United States and punish everybody economically, including ourselves. This is not an accident. This is the design. And so we need to see this moment as particularly galling, because Trump supporters are the people who are going to get hit the hardest. Inflation and job loss are not these abstract concepts where if you're not in the political milieu and paying attention, it doesn't affect you. This means less money in people's pockets, fewer hours at work, higher costs at the store. And it's rural and working class Americans, the ones that MAGA constantly claims that they fight for and that they defend, who are going to feel the pain first. Now, I'm going to introduce an economic concept I've talked about before. It's called marginal propensity to consume. It is a very basic economic idea, which essentially says the less money you have, the more of it you spend just to get by. If you don't have a lot of money and I give you $100 you weren't expecting, most of that 100 will likely go to necessary expenses. On the other hand, if you have a lot of money and I give you an extra $100, it is not likely that that $100 goes to necessary expenses because you have a surplus. So when prices rise because of tariffs, lower income households instantly feel the pain because they have a high marginal propensity to consume. Every dollar that they have is necessary and relevant just for making ends meet. They have to keep spending, but now everything costs more. Meanwhile, wealthier people who save more of their income can absorb the price hikes more easily. They can absorb it more easily because they have more disposable income. They can absorb it more easily because they're not living on the edge, and they can just choose not to spend if on some of those discretionary spending items. So Trump's tariffs don't just raise costs across the board. They're like a regressive tax. They disproportionately punish people with the least room to maneuver. And somehow they're still being sold the lie that this is all going to be good for them and the tariffs make us strong, that they're a patriotic move. But the reality is they're inflation bombs. And the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, is now saying it. And he is saying that it is Trump that has lit the fuse on that bomb. Now, one more thing. Just imagine if Joe Biden had done something that every economist said, this is going to spike inflation, this is going to increase unemployment. It would be DEFCON 1 on Fox News. Congress would be hauling everybody in for hearings. But when Trump does it, it's silence or even celebration. This is not economic nationalism. This is bad for Americans, and we are starting to see it. Now, if Trump backs off of the trade stuff, a lot of the tariff stuff, a lot of the damage can be undone. But we're getting closer and closer to at least elements of that being irreversible. Many of us know it can be tough to stay on top of nutrition every single day, especially when things get busy and hectic. That is why I've made AG1 part of my morning routine. AG1 has now launched their next gen formula, still just a scoop a day, but it's been upgraded with more vitamins and minerals, a stronger probiotic blend, and this is the biggest thing, clinically backed by 4 human clinical trials. Most supplements don't go through anything like that. In one clinical trial, AG1 Next Gen increased healthy gut bacteria by 10 times. It's also clinically shown to help fill common nutrient gaps, even if you eat pretty well already. I mix AG1 with water before my world famous cappuccino in the morning. Quick, tastes good, just helps me feel like I'm covering my nutritional bases. And now clinically backed with an advanced formula, it's the perfect time to try AG1 if you haven't. Head to drinkag1.com/Pacman to subscribe. You'll get a free bottle of AG D3K2, a welcome kit, and 5 travel packs with your first order. The link is in the description.